Can reality be broken by a child? Well, there's one mutant kid who can do exactly that, and he's only getting started. This is Franklin Richards, son of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, and one of the most powerful mutants in Marvel Comics. But great power means great responsibility, and for Franklin, it's a lot of pressure for someone his age. Let's dive into this week's 101. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me here with my channel. Every Friday, we break down the stories of some of the most iconic figures in all of geekdom, and today, we're talking about Franklin Richards. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and join our community. Also, if you want to talk all things nerd, then join us on our server. The link is down below. Also, check out our new video on everything you need to know about Deadpool. The link is in the description below. But for now, let's get into it. When we think of the most powerful kids in the Marvel Universe, we usually think of the likes of Billy Kaplan, Speed, and Wiccan. However, Franklin Richards might just be the most powerful of them all. We'll explain why. Just stick around. In order to understand Franklin Richards, we first have to look at his parents, Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, and Susan Storm, aka Invisible Woman. For those unaware, both Reed and Sue are members of the Fantastic Four, a team that also consists of Sue's sister, the super-strong and ever-grumpy, Thing, and their best friend, the eternally youthful Human Torch. Anyway, Reed and Sue got married and eventually had 2 children, their first being a daughter named Valeria. Then came Franklin. When Franklin was born, he seemed like any other normal baby. That was until he demonstrated his first mutant power, the ability to teleport. His second power manifested soon after. He was able to absorb the energy blast from the Human Torch, then reproject it back at him. Basically, Franklin absorbed and redirected energy. These powers are pretty wild, but they're really just scratching the surface of what Franklin is capable of. You see, Franklin's mutant abilities are basically reality manipulation. He can literally warp reality however he wants to. Now, the limits of these powers are kind of vague, but essentially, if Franklin believes something should exist, it exists. He's even been able to rewrite his own origin story. So technically, this list goes on forever. Now, these powers didn't come without a cost. After all, having reality warping abilities is a big responsibility. In fact, when Franklin was younger, it was decided that he would be better off living on a planet called Earth, 1610, which just so happens to be the homeworld of the Ultimate Spider-Man. With time, Franklin's powers grew out of control. So the Fantastic Four made the difficult decision to send him away to protect not just Franklin, but the entire multiverse. Thankfully, his mother Sue was able to keep in close contact with him. As Franklin grew older, he became more comfortable with his abilities, but he still struggled with the fact that he was essentially alone. When he was 14 years old, Franklin decided that he wanted to attend school. His father, Reed, used his connections to enroll Franklin in the Massachusetts Academy for the Gifted, aka It's a Mutant School. Soon, Franklin was attending classes, hanging out with friends, and just trying to have a normal high school experience. Of course, that didn't last too long because, once again, Franklin's powers proved to be too much. As you can imagine, having a reality warper running around your typical high school would prove to be pretty dangerous. So Franklin decided to leave. He wanted to protect the students and faculty of the Massachusetts Academy. Shortly after leaving the academy, Franklin would go on to join the Runaways, a group of young mutants who bonded over their shared problems with authority. While with the Runaways, Franklin developed a crush on one of his teammates, Carolina Dean, who just so happens to be the daughter of 2 supervillains. Now, Franklin's feelings for Carolina caused him to lose control of his powers and bring about an alien race called the Kree to Earth. Now, don't worry, it's not as bad as it sounds. Turns out the Kree were actually there to help, not harm, and were looking for Franklin. See, the Kree knew that Franklin was half human and half eternal. The Eternals, of course, are an ancient race of godlike beings who have secretly lived among humans for centuries. They were created by the Celestials, who are just as powerful as the Beyonders, if not more so. Franklin's father, Reed, is actually part of this race. Thanks to his exposure to cosmic rays, Reed developed the ability to stretch and contort his body to incredible lengths. So to the Kree, Franklin represented hope for his species. You see, the Kree were dying out, so they hoped that maybe Franklin could help. Franklin refused to help the Kree, though, believing that they were no different than humans, and that if he helped them, he would just be prolonging their inevitable demise. Instead, Franklin wished for a world where the Kree never existed. Now, you'd think that this would solve nothing, and you'd be right. However, the Kree Supreme Intelligence, who had taken on a physical form, believed that Franklin's powers would allow him to manipulate the genetic makeup of his people and cure their infertility. Unfortunately, Franklin's powers did nothing to help the Kree, and when the Supreme Intelligence learned that Franklin was not entirely Kree, he became enraged and attempted to destroy him. In the end, Franklin defeated the Kree, saving himself and Earth. But in doing so, he inadvertently erased the Kree from existence. All signs of them, their technology, and their history were wiped away. Now, depending on the version of events, they may or may not still exist somewhere in the multiverse. Either way, the point is, Franklin is too powerful to be walking around freely. So once again, he says goodbye to his friends and family in order to protect them. This time, Franklin's father, Reed, built a machine that would allow Franklin to safely store his powers. However, this proved to be difficult for Franklin, causing him to retreat into his own mind. Eventually, Reed was able to track Franklin down inside his mind. But it took a while, and during that time, Dr. Doom invaded Earth and stole Reed's consciousness. Basically, Franklin was trapped inside his own mind with his father's life hanging in the balance. Franklin used all his power to save his dad, completely draining himself in the process. Luckily, Franklin's mother, Sue, arrived in time and saved him from total physical and mental collapse. Now, normally, Franklin would be okay after this, right? Well, not quite. See, every time Franklin uses his powers, he opens up a hole in his head. And since he just used all his power, there's a massive hole in his noggin. Fortunately for Franklin, Mr. Fantastic is, well, fantastic. He used his intellect to develop a helmet that would keep Franklin safe. So why is Franklin Richards one of the most powerful kids in the Marvel Universe? Well, it's simple. Reality warping abilities are pretty dang powerful. There are only a handful of people in the Marvel Universe who can match Franklin's power level, and he's only getting stronger. Even though Franklin has done some truly powerful things, he's still a kid. He doesn't always know how to control his powers, and that's why he needs the Fantastic Four to help guide him. Franklin can be reckless at times, and that often puts those closest to him at risk, and that's everything you need to know about Franklin Richards, probably one of the most powerful kids in the Marvel Universe. Now it's time to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on Franklin? Leave it in the comments below. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up. I've been your host, and I'll see you next time on Everything You Need to Know. Bye! If you enjoyed this video, then check out our video on everything you need to know about Deadpool. It's a good time.